I don't.
Good.
Good. Good. Happy to be here.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just don't know how to usually start this. I was thinking about it all day. Like I was walking around the track at Roanoke. I don't know if you guys know, they have the Kreger Field, and then there's like behind it, there's the football team practices there now. So they like practice right there, and I'm just walking. It's like, what am I gonna say for me to start this? All that, but it's nice. You just hear, that the Lord is moving, and it's nice to be here with you guys and share what the Lord has spoke through me. But all right, let's get started. All right, so fire and ice. We're just going over like the theme verse, and it says, what good is it if you gain the whole world and lose your soul? And that just, you hear that all the time. I heard that all the time. Just, what good is it, oh man, gain the whole world and just lose a soul, and that's just something that you just hear when you just grow up in Christianity. But, when Pastor Josh, he told me about what's it called? This is the theme of the week for Fire and Ice. So it's like, all right, you just start thinking about it a little bit more, and you just come. I came to something, but before I get into like the message, you guys probably don't even know who I am, but my name's Archie. My name's Archie Jacinto. I'm from Sarasota, Florida, and so you know how, I don't know if you guys follow the news, but a week ago, maybe a few weeks, they named like the Gulf. It was the Gulf of Mexico, but it's no longer the Gulf of Mexico. It's the Gulf of America. So whenever you look at the map and you see Florida and it's right there, it's like I'm right there on the Gulf of America. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So so I'm a senior at Roanoke College. I just am a student. I wish I was playing a sport, but Lord knows why I'm not playing a sport. He knows everything. But I love basketball. I have a bunch of siblings. And I have 3 younger brothers, 1 little sister, older brother, older sister. So sometimes I have to count. That's about 7 of us. 7 of us, and then mom and dad. So that's 9. But my older sister is married. She's in Orlando. And then my older brother, he's just floating around. But he's right now in Pensacola. And then I'm here, little brother's freshman, but he started the first half of the semester in Palm Beach, but now he's still at home right now, so I don't know how that's working with him. But he's at home, and then one's a sophomore, and then one's a freshman, and then the other one, Betty, she just turned 14 on the 25th, so that was Tuesday, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was Tuesday. But
How'd you pick Roanoke College from
how'd I
Florida?
pick Roanoke College? We're gonna get to that. But we'll get into that. So all right, let's jump in. So open your Bibles if you guys have not opened it already to Luke chapter 9, and we'll just read verse 25. If you already know, it's like, let me know when you guys, everyone's there? Luke 9, verse 20, Luke 9, verse 25.
Verse 25.
Yeah, verse 20.
Luke 9, right?
Yeah, Luke.
It's up there.
Yeah, so all right, what good is it if you gain the whole world but lose your soul? And today I want to talk about like the theme that I want to highlight is trust. When you just think of the word trust, like what comes to your mind? You guys can answer, but when you guys think of trust, like what usually comes to mind?
Your parents.
Yeah, your parents. You gotta trust your parents.
Like a trust fall, like when you fall backwards, it stays
Yeah.
there.
That's true. 2 more.
Faith.
Faith. That's big. That's good.
Reliance.
Reliance. Yeah. Yeah. When I think of trust, I usually think of just reliance, just relying on someone, or if they say, all right, we're gonna come, we're hanging out tomorrow, you trust that you're gonna go hang out with your friend, or when you just think of trust, you usually think of maybe someone else, or you usually think of something, or so that you could just like hold on to, that you could just, so that you know that it's there, like it's just something like assuring you, and I think we suck at trusting, and I am the #1 victim of this, because whenever you have like plans or something, I need it to be concrete, but when people, I think I'm a victim, just when they need to trust me, or when they need something, I'm usually a little flaky here and there. I gotta work on that, but on the contrary, when someone's like telling me, or they're trying to, if they making plans, I need it to be concrete. I need everything to just know that it's going to work, like it's going to happen, like this is what's going to happen. And when I think of trust, I think of my friend called Christian Evanoff. And I met him when I was in 6th grade, and yeah, I met him in 6th grade. We went to this school called Sarasota Military Academy, and from there we kind of just clicked. But every time I tell him, all right, let's say, like just for example, we say, all right, I told you I live in Sarasota, and that's like on the Gulf, so a fun thing to do is that like we just go, like we take out, like he has a boat, so he usually says, all right, we're going out on my boat today, this time, just be there. And sometimes he would say, all right, one time he said, hey Archie, we're all tomorrow, like we don't have anything going on Saturday, like we're going on the boat, we're bringing everyone there, just I'll text you. He said, I'll text you. And I was like, all right. I was like super excited. I think it was a Friday too. I was like super excited. Like after school, we usually have church on Fridays. So like after church, I'm just getting my favorite swim trunks. I already got everything ready so that when we go out there, so all I have to do is just wake up. My dad was even asking, he was like, all right, we're going to IHOP tomorrow. Do you want anything? Like, do you want to come with us? Like, all your siblings are going to IHOP. Do you want to come? I'm like, no. I didn't even tell him I was going on the boat, but I was like, nah, I'm doing something. I can't do it. I just like canceled everything. And then I know where he lives and I know everything, so I could just go to his house over there. But I just wanted to call him. I was like, all right. So I call him, and he says, yeah. We're still. I said, are we still going? He's like, yeah. He said, I don't know. He said, I don't know. I'll let you know. And I said, all right, okay, cool. So I'm missing IHOP. I'm over here just chilling at the house, just hanging out. And I'm like, all right, let me just grab a snack. Let me just do something. And then while you're like trying to keep yourself occupied so that you know that, all right, I'm gonna be receiving this call soon. So right when I get this call, I'm going straight to his house. And then you're already envisioning what you're gonna say. You're you're prepping the dap up. You're super excited. You're ready to go. You're ready to go. And 30 minutes go by. Like I'm like cleaning my room, like just like getting things done, just waiting so that like, I know. So when he calls me, I'm like ready. We're ready to go. And like time just keeps going. So I look at my phone. I said, all right. I'm not gonna get on my phone, but look, let me just go on Snapchat and just see what's going on. I see someone else like posting a like funny video of them already on the water. I'm like, bro, no way. Like no way. Like and then like you just try to like act like it didn't hurt you or like you didn't bother you, and then you're just like hurt. You're just like, dang, wow. We were planning on like going. We already had everything, and then mind you, like he never called me back. So I said, all right, I'm gonna wait a few extra minutes, and maybe he probably doesn't want me to go meet him at his house. So he's just gonna pick me up on they call it like pretty much like a dock, pretty much like a marina. It's like you can park there, but it's pretty much but it's kind of illegal. But you just like jump off like the dock. Like you kind of just like jump off the dock, and then you just get onto his boat. It's like maybe I'm like shoot, like it's kind of inconvenient, but maybe he might just do that. He doesn't want a lot of people parking at his house, so and everything. And then so I give him a call. like no response. I give him another call, no response. And then from there, I was pretty sad because like shoot, like I canceled plans to go eat with my with my dad and my siblings. I'm hungry now, and now my plans that I was supposed to go out on the water, do something, and just everything's all canceled and just like shoot. And to this day, like we play around, but every time we see him, like everyone knows that like he's the person that everyone pretty much likes to hang out with him. So he usually is that flaky dude. So like he usually has plans, and everyone knows that he's that dude that he might flake on you. Like he just like shoot. He's just that guy. Like I have no glaze. Like everyone says the glaze, but like no glaze. Like everyone knows like when they see Christian is like he's kind of that man. So that like you just kind of have to like catch him on a good day or for you to hang out with him and stuff. And yeah, so just to move on, like when I think of trust, I think of like Christian Evanoff, that like everything he says, you gotta take it with like some sort of grain of salt because you know he might flake or he just not just gonna come through. So let's just dive into Luke chapter 9 and we will talk more. But I divided it into like 3 components of how like I comprehended it and so we're gonna start chapter like the beginning of chapter 9, and we're just gonna go from like section to section. So it says like, you know, Jesus sends out the 12, Jesus feeds the 5,000, and Peter's confession of Christ, and then we're just gonna jump from like category to category. So you guys we could start verse 3, chapter 9, verse 3. And he said, he told them, take nothing for the journey, no staff, no bag, no bread, no money, no extra tunic. And before I jump into it, it says, I wanted to just say that, or if you guys want to like write that down or something, it's like, we lack nothing. Like, I just want to just get that out there. It's just like, we lack nothing. And the first thing I wanted to say is that, who was the person that just, right when he prayed us out before, what's your name? Eli. I love how you said, you know, for us to surrender, because the first thing that I had was let go. So like the first thing that I took out of that was let go. And the question I have, it could be rhetorical, or if you guys have a question, it's like, why does the Lord tell them to just not take anything with them? And just, you know, leave everything, you know, don't take anything, don't take bread, don't take a bag, just leave everything.
I'll just say to completely rely on Jesus.
Yeah.
With faith that, like wherever you go, God will provide. You know?
Yeah. Reliance. True.
We do put our trust in things. A lot of security and like, oh, this is like my security, you know, security blanket, but like these items are what I need. Like if I don't have these, I'm lost without them. We put our trust in things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The things that we carry with us and we usually have with us, that it usually carries has some sort of significance to it. And the word that I used was, it has baggage. You know, that staff, that bag, you guys could probably relate it to something now, like your phone, or like who knows, it could have been something cool like your journal or something, or anything. He said, just leave it all. He just said, leave it. And he just said, when you let go and you leave it aside, it kind of takes off the burden, because that baggage, it could be something small, it could be something, you know, big or whatever. Every little thing that you carry with you, it has some sort of baggage that the Lord just says, let go. Let go, just let it go, move on. The second thing that I had was share. And that just moving on to Jesus feeds the 5,000. So starting in verse 12, I read verse 12 of chapter 9, and it says, Late in the afternoon, the 12 came to him and said, "Send the crowd away so they can go to the surrounding villages and countryside and find food and lodging, because we're in a remote place here." And in verse 13, he replied, "You give them something to eat." And then I want to stop and ask you guys questions, like, or something to think about, is that how are you supposed to, actually, I'm going to read verse 17 before I ask. They ate, and then if you move on forward, what is it Jesus says? He says, "You give them something to eat." They answered, "We only have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Unless we go and buy food for all this crowd." About 5,000 men were there. But he said to his disciples, "Have them sit down in groups of about 50 each." The disciples did so, and everyone sat down. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and broke them. Then he gave them to the disciples and sat before the people. They all ate and were satisfied, and the disciples picked up the 12 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. And if you guys didn't read this whole thing, you guys didn't really have context on everything that happened before verse 17. Like, sometimes you think it's like, how are you supposed to share something you don't have or you have little of? And yeah, like, why does the Lord ask us to share or like give out something that you probably don't even have that much, or you just probably don't even have it? Like, why would the Lord ask you to give that away?
See if you'll be faithful with the little you
Yeah.
I think it's more of a test of like willingness than a test of giving away like what you already have. Like I think it's God's way of saying, like, with all your trust in me, all your faith in me, like, are you willing to give something even if you don't have it, even if you don't think you have it, but are you willing to give up something for just my sake?
Yeah. Yeah.
And not only that, but like, are you willing to look ridiculous or do the ridiculous thing? Like, are you willing to be obedient above and beyond what makes sense to you? That's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that the reason to that is if God can trust you with a little, he can trust you with a lot. You know?
Yeah. You guys are getting one. You guys are getting someone with this. Good. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
What is it? Oh, was someone about to say something else?
I will. I think so much goes to the story of Abraham and Isaac. Of like, God, this is actually a good thing that God promised him. It was from God. But it's like, even these good things, do you love them more than me? Yeah.
Yeah. I love how in verse 17 they said they all ate and were satisfied, and the disciples picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. And also, if you go a little bit, when the Lord asked them, when the disciples asked Jesus, they said, "All right, are we gonna find somewhere we can go eat? We can try to tell this crowd for them to go somewhere else because, we did our thing today. We did what we had to do, and now let's go find something to eat, and let's just eat together, and then maybe we could reconvene with them, maybe we can't. Like, we don't know the plans, but right now we're just gonna go do that." And the Lord just says, "No, you go give them something to eat." And I only have like 5 pieces of bread. How am I gonna feed everyone else? And from that, you just see that the Lord's not really asking. You lack, how I said in the beginning, we lack nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord's not telling you and putting you in position so that you can go out there and just be short. And the Lord will always continue to provide and like have that, just surpass whatever needed to pass, and you just see that vividly, that these people, they just really don't truly believe, because it says, because when we go back to the first one, it says, take nothing for the journey, no staff, no bag, no bread, no extra tunic. So he already knew already that we're gonna get to a point that we're not gonna really have that much food, but I will provide. You don't have nothing really to give, but just know that if I'm telling you to leave everything, trust me. And so the next one, it says, oh yeah, before I say, our goal is for us to go out there and we're supposed to distribute what the Lord has given us. And don't be stingy about that. Don't say, man, I have a little bit, and that doesn't mean, going out there and just stripping and just having nothing. It's just saying, trust in the Lord, and the Lord will provide, whatever that be.
I just want to say too, like, I think the significance of verse 17, God talking about leftovers, and like you talked about God providing. I think a lot of times too, not only does God give us exactly what we need, but so much more. And this is in a lot of areas, whether it be blessings, like He blesses us with so much abundance, or when He pours His love out over us, there's such an overflow of it. Same with His Spirit. And so I think it's just a really awesome picture of like who Jesus is, and like He wants to bless us and give us so much. And it even does tie back to the disciples. Like He said, take nothing, because not only will He provide what they need, but also give more.
Yeah, that's good. That is so good. Yeah, He gives us. He's always providing. Yeah. So the third thing was that I got was deny oneself, and then I was about to say / lose yourself, but it's no. I wrote or lose yourself. So it's deny oneself or lose yourself. And so moving on to the second, where it says the second segment, the third segment of chapter 9, where it says Peter's confession of Christ. And we can start in verse 18 and the part B, and it says, he asked them, who do the crowds say I am? Why do you think the Lord asked them that? Like, for what purpose? After He fed the 5,000, like, why would He ask them, who do they say I am?
I feel like it was almost like a do you believe me now, like a little bit. Do you believe me yet?
Yeah, that's exactly what I had. It was just that, I did this first thing. I told you to do this. You see what I did. Do you kind of get what I'm saying? Do you trust now? Are you guys seeing the picture? Are you guys following? And then moving on to we're skipping around, but it says in verse 23. Oh no, so you see before I read verse 23, just a little context is just, in verse 19 and in verse 19 and 20, John said, oh wait, my bad. So they replied and they said, some say John the Baptist, some others say Elijah, and still others, but that one of the prophets long ago has come back to life. Oh, some say that other prophets have long ago has come back to life. Well, what about you, he asked. Who do you say I am? Peter answered, Christ, the Son of God. And then, so now moving to verse 23, then he said to them all, if anyone would come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
What does what mean?
Verse 23.
If anyone would come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. What does he mean that one must take up his cross daily and follow me?
Don't make our own path. Like, don't be selfish and just making our own plans, but actually we are following His plans, His way.
I'm not sure where I heard it, but it may have been here. I'm not sure. But someone said, when you're carrying a cross, you don't really have extra room for you to carry your backpack.
Yeah.
You don't have extra room for you to, maybe be on the phone or try to do that. Like the cross is so heavy, and it requires all of you and your whole attention that you just can't multitask and do that. And we'll in a few verses we'll get to that. It will touch back on this, but you just can't do both. You just have to do one. And then I circled verse 24, and it says, "For whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for me will save it." And that's why I said it's like deny oneself or lose yourself, you know, because you can't multitask. And then, you know, well, the theme of the week in verse 25 is what good is it for a man to gain the whole world, yet lose or forfeit his very self? It's like, you know, what would be the point? You know, you guys are smart. What would be the point for people to just do contrary to what the Lord asks? Like, why?
Do you want it?
What
Do you want it to be easy?
Yeah.
Do you want it easier?
What is the way? What way?
Christ, but sometimes we think our own way, our own path, our own career.
What are some ways other people choose that aren't Christ? You guys can just keep it flowing, you know.
Their job? Like
Money?
Money.
The need for money?
I would think they focus on some of the things that Jesus did more than Jesus himself. Like they focus on the things that they got from him, but not on Jesus himself. And I'm actually doing a Bible study right now with somebody, and we've talked a lot about that we focus more on what we have and not what's giving it to us. And we just get so caught up in all the good things that we are receiving that we're not focusing on the giving. And I think that's throughout the gospel and Jesus walking on this earth, the disciples definitely focused a lot on what was happening, but not what Jesus was doing for them and for this earth.
Yeah. It always goes back. You always got to know the source. You got to know what's flowing. You got to know what's helping things run. You know, you always have to go back to the source. It just, you know, when you're at a school or you're looking at a school, you want to find out who's the principal, or for the team, you got to know who's the coach, or it always goes back to that main source that makes everything pretty much flow. And so, in verse 26, I highlighted it as well. It says, "If anyone is ashamed of me and my words, the Son of Man will be ashamed of him when he comes in his glory and in the glory of the Father and of the holy angels." I wanted to go, and before I talk about this, I wanted to go back and just, you know, when we talk about what is it? What's the point of following Christ, or what good is it for you to gain the whole world but lose your soul? I kind of go back to this example of, I never really played video games, but a bunch of my friends, they all play video games. So when I'd go over there, I'd just sit and watch them like play video games. And a big game, you know, you guys probably all familiar with, is Fortnite. And you know when they're playing and they're building, and you know they're in a fight with someone else that's also building, and they're attacking them, they're shooting at them, and then now they're low on lives. You know, they got hit a few times, but they have a bunch of wood, they have a bunch of ammo, but they don't really have, what's that blue thing?
Chug jug.
The chug jug, but they don't really have the chug jug. It's like, how useful? You could have all the ammo in the world. You could have all the wood in the world so that you can protect yourself. But if you don't have that chug jug, and you can't drink that chug jug, you're about to die. You're gonna die.
You're gonna die, bro.
You're gonna die.
It's gonna
happen. You're going to die. And that just pretty much, you know, people that, you know, they say career, job, like you could have all the money, you could have all that, but if you don't have something that's like in there, like just that source that just, just sustaining you or that helping you, eventually you're gonna die. And it's just not going to help you. You need that chug. You need that juice that you can drink and you're like, all right, I'm good. I'm back in the game. Now I have all this ammo. Now I have all this wood. Now I can win the game. But if you don't have that, it's gonna be very, very, very hard. Or I don't even really know if you can win the game. I don't know if anyone really has won the game without that.
Without a joke, you can't win without a joke.
You can't win. Or what is it? We go to another example I had was we would go to the mall, before school, get like some new pair of shoes or something, get new backpacks and stuff. And prior to you getting your new shoes or something, you were ate, you were full, and then you go to there's this big outlet, so we'd have to drive like 45 minutes from my house, and it's called Ellington Mall, and it's an outdoor outlet, so they had like Nike, they had Adidas, they had all the brands that you could think of and all that stuff. And so in the beginning, you're worried about getting the new shoes, and then once you got your shoes, you got everything, you're like hungry now, and you're just looking at your nice shoes, but you're like, dude, I want Auntie's like the pretzels on my shoe, that would complete the day. And then you're looking at your Nike, and your mom's like, nah, you're only eating when you get home. And you're like, bruh. And so you're so hungry there, and you're like, dude, you can't eat your new shoes. You can only like wait until you get home so that you can eat. And so it's just so funny.
Just take them back, get the pretzels.
You could, then you have no shoes. You could. So it was just something that like popped up in my mind, is that when you get what you want, you get that cool thing, but you need something so that you can just be nourished, or something that can help you so that when you put on those shoes, you look happy because now you have food in your stomach. And so, yeah, those were the three. So it's just, let go, share, and then deny oneself or lose yourself. And and then you see in the next, there's another where it says, what do they call it? Where there's subtitles on the top?
Subtitle, yeah.
But like, what do they call it? Do they just call it sections?
The captions?
Yeah. How?
Captions?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Section. We could just say that. So yeah, I'm done with the 1, 2, 3. But what is it? Getting back, and so you look at verse 46. If you jump to verse 46, and it says, "Who will be the greatest?" And in verse 48, it says, "Then he said to them, whoever welcomes this little child in my name welcomes me, and whoever welcomes the one who sent me, whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. For he who is least among you all, he is the greatest." That's just kind of odd, that the Lord will ask us for us to, like, why would he say that? Like, isn't it just so, I might even ask you, I just think that if you tell someone, or you go out there in public and say, the person that's the least is the greatest, and you say, what do you mean? Like, what are you trying to get at? And what I wrote over here on my notes is that it's so twisted, everything that we just talked about today, just opposite of what it's supposed to. You're supposed to deny yourself, you're supposed to be the least, and then you're going to be the greatest. And it just, the Lord asks us to like be twisted for him, so that he can exalt you and just shine his light through you guys, so that you guys can see that, all right, that it's kind of, you have to buy in. You have to buy into. You have to, and that's why the word trust comes back into it. You have to trust.
That verse reminds me of where it says we need to decrease so that he can increase in us.
Mm-hmm.
And it just makes me think, well, the more we deny ourselves, the more we give ourselves over for the Lord to use us, the greater the Spirit will be dwelling within us, operating in us, and bringing God's glory to his kingdom. So
Yeah.
it just means, like, I give myself away so that you can be made greater in me, and your greatness will make me great. Now I am.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Exactly. Yeah, and one second. And a few, a few examples that I had was when I was just thinking about, you know, about a few, like just a few leaders and just that, like maybe their situation that not all of them they were the least, but one person that comes up to mind was just Daniel. You know, he was over there. He was sent to a whole foreign land, and now he what is it? He wants to serve the Lord. He wants to follow. He wants to be honest, and it's kind of, I wouldn't say not entirely so, but we see, you know, we're in a world that everything is starting to, like everywhere you go, you kind of just know things aren't just right, you know, that evil is just everywhere. People are just heartless or just all that stuff, and that, yeah, we live in a country where I can share the gospel and we can go somewhere, and yeah, I'd say that Christianity is the religion, like the main religion here in the United States, but there's still a resistance to the gospel that if you go out there and you truly actively try to follow Christ, it makes a little people just like why are you putting too much trust in the Lord? Like, all right, like maybe just look at the symptoms. Let's not look at the source. Let's just stray away from that, because that's a little too much. Because it just makes a look, because it's nice, you know, saying that, all right, Jesus is this, Jesus is this, but when we truly have to buckle down and follow him, then you're like, all right, let's just take a few steps back. Let's just chill. Let's not get a little weird now. And you see that when you buckle down and you do the things that make you the least, and you know, following Christ, that's just you're not gonna be in a comfortable position. You're not gonna be in that ideal spot. But just know that the Lord has something for you, that if Daniel was over there to a point that they even threw him down to the lion's den, but for them, after when he was down in the lion's den, you know that the Lord did not forsake him, that the Lord didn't leave him, or he wasn't alone, because the Lord just doesn't leave you just halfway through. That, all right, you guys been good, but dude, that next 25, you might die, but shoot, you're on your own. I'll catch you on the flip. The Lord doesn't do that, you know. He's there. He usually is always, or consistently proving that he will always take care of you. And all right, so the next section that I wanted to jump to was the last one. It says, it's verse 62. It's verse 62. It's the cost of following Jesus. And oh yeah, before I talk about that, was that, and if you go back to Luke chapter 9 verse 1, actually, I'm sorry, let's just stay in chapters, verse 62. We'll get there. I'm jumping everywhere, but just bear with me. So, all right, verse 62, Jesus replied, "No one who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is fit for service in the kingdom of God."
Mm-hmm.
What is that? What does he say? I didn't, I need someone to...
I think it's kind of like what you talked about earlier with carrying your cross. Is that if you're trying to follow Jesus and you try to look back, or if you like desire things you used to have, then like, do you really have your faith in Jesus? Like, are you actually trying to pursue him? If you're still desiring the things that you used to, be a part of or identify with.
Yeah, pretty much, simply said, it just, don't look back, If you're gonna put your trust in him, put your trust in him. And me personally, I am the number one person that, I don't know, I'm over here in a new place, Roanoke. I never seen this before. I've never done this before. You know, like, well, why not? You know, like, why not just put my trust in, you know, everyone else that they said, oh, you know, my parents did it. You know, like, we've done that. You'll be fine. It's okay. It's all right. And what you learn is that you can do all these things. You can search everywhere. You can look everywhere. But the Lord's word, or what the Lord has for you, it's just far better.
So, I mean, were you done?
No, you can talk. What's up?
This really stood out to me. It's like, anyone who looks back is not fit for the kingdom of God. And that's a crazy statement. You know, like, if the Lord called you to quit your job, and you're like, my job? It's like, you're not fit for the kingdom of heaven, for the kingdom of God. Like, that's crazy.
That's cutthroat, you know?
Yeah.
That's not even, no.
That's Lot's wife, man.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Pillar of salt.
like she gone. Yeah, she not fit.
She's gone. She's gone.
Yeah, like he wants us all in. He's like, do you believe in me or not? Yeah, Pierce.
I think once you've tasted and seen the eternal provision of Christ in your life, why would you look back to the temporary satisfaction of the world? Like, it's so easy for us to go, well, I liked when I had all these friends that wanted to hang out with me, but now that I'm a Christian, I don't have that. But you have God. And you have one that's beside you even when you don't see him. And like, once you see his provision in your life, you should have no desire to look back to the things that put chains on you and held you back.
Exactly. Perfect. Yeah. You see that, yeah, the Lord provides and the Lord takes care. And so why would you look back? But it is, you know, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be comfortable. But I was looking at something on Instagram. It says, like, choose your heart, you know? It's like, it's tough to be, they said it's tough to not work, but it's tough to, not have money or something. And they said it's tough to be poor and tough to be rich. It's like, choose your heart. It's like, it's tough to not work out, but it's tough to, like, it's tough to be obese. And it's just like, choose your heart. And the heart that the Lord has for you, he kind of made it easy. And he kind of made it light. And the Lord says, like, the burden, you know, he laid it out for us and laid that foundation so that all you have to do is just walk. Yeah. And, you know, there's going to be arrows, they're going to be throwing stuff at you, they're going to do that, but you have to keep it going. Just thinking about, you know, when they open the sea, you know, you have to keep it going, because if you don't, you know, the water just it's going to fall on top of you and you're just going to drown and die. You don't want to do that. And so also, yeah, going back to, what is it, verse 1. In verse 1, it says, when Jesus had called the 12 together, he gave them power and authority to drive out all demons and to cure diseases. You know, I love how he first said comfortable, because I said, we are probably naturally passive and complacent. But you know what the Lord says? I'm going to give you guys power and authority. And he says, I wrote purposeless, visionless, and passive. But mark out less, and now you have a purpose. Mark out visionless, and now you have vision. And I just crossed out passive, and he gave us power. And so we have purpose, we have vision, and we have power that the Lord gives us, in that when you truly say, trust me, because now you have something to look for, you have something to do. And so Josh asked, he said, what brought you to Roanoke? And, you know, I grew up in the church. I grew up every week, you know, sometimes multiple times a week, you know, just going to services, going to retreats, doing this, sitting here, sleeping in the church, you know, doing all that stuff. I remember when I was like so much younger, that we'd have these overnight stays, and I would bring my blanket, and I'd always just slump, and I would sleep. And actually, not fun fact, but it's actually very bad. Let's just keep this between us. Like when I was really young, I like peed on the seat. Like when I was sleeping, I woke up and he was just like a whole like. He's like, "Who did that?" He's like, "Archie, bro."
Oh my goodness.
And so, yeah, and I love how, so anyways, that being said, I grew up in the house. I grew up in the house of the Lord, but I did have a bunch of people, and I did have friends that just didn't follow Christ, and that I was, just kind of everywhere at some point, just going out, doing all this stuff, and it was during quarantine. It was during quarantine that I just thought, and I said, shoot, I told you guys I really love basketball, and I just sat there and I said, whenever I'm doing this stuff, it's fun, but I'm only hurting myself. I'm not hurting nobody else. Like my parents would ground me, parents would take my phone away, like countless times they'd take the keys away, like all this stuff. But and I thought about it and I said, the only person I'm hurting is me. Every time I'm with Christ, it's always benefits, it's always good. You're always, just clear. You're always just, there's momentum, there's progress with Christ. But every time I choose to do that, maybe momentarily, like a week, 2 weeks, you're at the peak, and then it just downhill from there. And I just thought, all right, I just want to follow Christ. I just want to do that. I just want something that's good for me, because simply I saw good, and I just saw darkness, but darkness had a 1 week peak, and then I'm just back downhill. I said, why do I want to just keep moving back and forth? And so I just said, all right, I want to buckle down on Christ. I just want to follow Christ. I want to do that. And little did I know, it changed the way I just approached everything. And the way that you just take care of yourself, the way that you treat your siblings, the way that you go out there when you're at basketball practice, you're at soccer practice, football practice, like, man, yeah, I'm here for me to get better, and all that stuff, and you take it serious and all that stuff, but maybe just take this time for me to just go out there and invest in my teammates, and so that I can understand and see, actually have a relationship with them, and just not, all right, I'm looking for the starting position, this person, that's my competition, I want to go after him, but yeah, I want to go after him, but I do love him, that's my brother, that's someone that I can go out there, and little by little, I started to see that, dang, our purpose is in us. That's when we're walking to the grocery store, you're living in that purpose. When you're walking to church, when you're in church, you're living in that purpose. When you're in school, you're living in that purpose, for you to go out there, for you to have that purpose and live in authority. That, all right, everyone's over here talking bad about this person. Everyone's here talking about what they're about to do this weekend. They're about to do this. Won't they do something else this weekend? Won't they come out to church? Won't they do this? Because I know that the Lord's giving me vision in something else. And so so my mom would always take me to this thing. It's called Sarasota Teen Court. And I always hated it because it was dude, it's not cool. So it's pretty much pretend you were so if you got in a fight at school, or you stole a candy bar at a convenience store, instead of them sending you juvie, they would send you to Sarasota Teen Court, so that you could pretty much defend them, so that they can get community service hours or whatever they do, so that they can go back and then after they successfully complete their jury duties, or however many that the juries of teens you would decide for them to have, they'd be able to go back into the community and have nothing on the record. And I just learned that shoot, I do enjoy that stuff. And you start to enjoy, you start to find out about yourself. You start to the Lord gives you this life, not so that we can just be robots, but for us to make an impact, so that we can go out there and just whatever that means. You might like agriculture, you wanna go out there and plant potatoes, whatever. the Lord helps you, and He reveals this to you, so that you can go out there and have a joy-filled life, and go out there and whatever you might be doing, and just have something and shine that light that the Lord has for you. And so pretty much through that, you know, I liked, I always did well in civics. I always did well in like history. I was just talking to Connor. I always loved that. And I just through that, I just said, all right. I didn't even know the lady, and some lady that our family friend knew, she knew some schools in Roanoke. She had like some sort of connection with Roanoke, and she said, oh, look, there's this nice school over here. I'm gonna give you a bunch of schools in the area that over there, and you guys can you can look at it, and maybe you probably might be interested in going. I said, all right. I'm like, dude, I really don't care, but I really just want to play. I just want to play basketball somewhere. I really don't care where it is. Like, I want to play. Also, kind of super delusional. I'm like, I wanted to play basketball at University of Kentucky. I was like, Kentucky. If I'm playing for UK or bust, I don't care. Even though I was like, I'm 5, like something. But like not tall enough and just not big enough and just not ultimately good enough. But and then what is it? I looked at Roanoke and I was like, shoot. This is a beautiful campus. This is something super, super cool. I'm like, all right, why not? And I took a tour, and I took a tour and I really loved it. It was really nice. It was May, so all the trees were out, the mountains were there. And I was like, shoot, all right, maybe. And they prayed about it, and they said, all right, we're gonna go. It's like, all right, Archie, maybe. I was like, all right, maybe. Like maybe I would just end up just going to Roanoke. And so I go to Roanoke, and they said, you know. Everyone's like, you know, the Lord has a purpose for you here. The Lord has a purpose for you here. And quite frankly, I really didn't believe that. I just said, all right, yeah, I do believe in Jesus. I do have a relationship with him, but I don't know if the Lord really has a purpose for me being here, but I'll end up just going to Roanoke and we'll see what happens. And the first week that I get to campus, I meet this dude named Aiden, and we're talking. We're actually at this, I don't know where we were at, but he was saying, he's like, dude, I know this, it's literally the first week of school. And he said, dude, I know this dude named Brian. And Brian, he goes to this church. And I was a little hesitant, you know, just like, you know, any church, you don't know any church, you know, this is a foreign place, I don't know this place like that. But I was like, all right, I'll try it out. And I go, and I remember it. So we go to this, Brian comes over there, picks us up. He's just talking to us, you know, we're just introducing ourselves and just trying to getting to know each other. And I get in the church and I just see like I remember Josiah, and I think Kenzie and a few others, but they were just out there just on fire for Jesus. And just little by little, I just started going to the youth group, and then just fast forward, I've just been coming here ever since. But I just truly believe that, you know, the Lord has a purpose, and everything that you do, every little thing that you do, the Lord is just working and just developing you to make an impact in whatever that may be, big or small. You know, some people are meant to be the fingers, some people are meant to be the hands, some people are meant to be the feet. But with Him, if you trust Him, and just know that, you know, what good is it? Because, you know, sometimes you say, what good is it to gain the whole world and like lose your soul? But just know that leaving that all and denying oneself, you just end up with so much more. Like if you look at the Bible, there's so many people that were blessed, like generously. And there's some people that just didn't have that much, but just know that they never lacked anything. Like, you know that the Lord always provided for every person. And I want you guys to think, like, you know, growing up, you know, in the house, in the church, you see people, you know, all shapes and sizes, all that, all different faith. Like, you see how they're in their faith journey. And I never really saw someone that truly loved the Lord, and you saw that they really like lacked something. Like, yeah, they may not have the biggest house, they may not have everything, but you know that the Lord is always consistently providing for His people. And you know, you guys are all grown. Like, I was a freshman. I know, Pierce and all them, you guys are all about to graduate, and you guys are all so super smart. And I just know that, you know, this next wave, this next generation that's going out there, just know that if you trust the Lord will bring you guys places and take you guys places that you guys never imagined. Like, if I would have been playing basketball, if I would have been doing something or doing what I wanted to do, I would never have done so many different cool things that I did, like met so many different cool people and like just doing that and just being in the position I am now, I'm like truly grateful, and I wouldn't change it for the world. And I'm just so blessed and honored that you guys, like Pastor Josh, like just put his trust in me. And I really didn't even know what I was gonna talk about. Didn't even know that, but the Lord just like just spoke, and it just like things that I just truly can't, like, if you talk to me outside, like, yeah, I can say these things, but I just really can't go out here and just like relay this message if it's just not for the Lord. And God is good, God is real, and just know, go out there, just like 3 things, you know, just purpose, vision, and he gives you power. And if you go out there and just trust in him, he'll give you so much and more, and you just can't even like fathom it. So that's all I have to say, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.